Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. First of all, I want you to know that I'm recording this video in a great deal of pain. I just stubbed my toe and Jesus Christ, I almost cried. Oh god, that was painful. I'm quite sure I'm losing my toenail, but fine. Let's move on. Thor Jane Foster got buffed, so naturally I took her to rank 5, I did ascend her, and now we're going to test her out a little bit. Basically, we're going to go over her new rotations and the way she works. And it's fairly simple. You can chain your heavy attack to your base combo now. And as you strike your opponent, you get passive shocks on you, and that does improve your damage output. And then level 1 gives you fervor, that lets you stack the shocks quicker. Level 2 transfers all of your shocks to your opponent in exchange for a significant amount of damage. Level 3 gives you a power gain and also improves your damage whilst it's active, basically. And your heavy attack has a couple of staggers on. That's kind of it. Oh, you do have Wither when you have 7 or more shocks on yourself as well. That's kind of neat, I suppose. But what you do need to know is that her kit doesn't flow together. Part of the reason is because you do want to constantly be spamming your heavy attacks, because whenever your stagger expires or you do nullify and buff with it, then you pause your shocks, and you do want to be pausing your shocks. So you do want to be throwing in basically heavy attacks as much as possible if you want to be accumulating those shocks on yourself. Additionally, in order to do that, you need to finish a combo with a heavy, as I said, and that means you can't use a special. Because there's a single hit heavy attack, you can't even go like connect the first or second hit of the heavy and then chain your special into it, which would be exactly what this type of champion needs, to be honest. But that means that whenever you want to activate level 1 or level 2, you can't heavy, and that tends to mess with your rotations a little bit. Another thing is when you activate your level 2, you basically cash out all your damage, because you do want to have all of those passive shocks on you at all times in order to hit hard. And it doesn't feel great. So that was like my first or second fight, and that was like minute 32. And later on in the video, we're going to show some other rotations, because somewhere along the way I realized that you really don't want to activate those level 1s or level 2s especially. Well, maybe level 1 just to ramp up faster, and then just go for level 3s, because in essence, you just want to be, hitting the opponent with your basic attacks and knocking them down with your heavies, and that's about it. And, eventually dump your power with level 3. So just kind of ramp up and do the heavy spam. That I found out to be working better for me. But we're going to go over some of the matchups that she has and everything else. But, I'll be honest. I liked this buff more after I saw the initial gameplay than I do after having played with her for now. And one of the big problems that Thor Jane Foster will have, regardless of what kind of crazy videos you're going to see, is going to be the matchup spread. She doesn't answer the most pressing problems in, the Cosmic class. So I don't believe we're going to see that much of her unless there's going to be some specific reason to use her. And yeah, that's kind of unfortunate. Additional thing, obviously, any matchup where buffs are involved, she will be doing better. She will be faster because she does get shocks placed on her when she nullifies the opponent's buffs. She gets a little bit of power because Kabam can't stop messing with champion masteries, and in this case, she only gets half a benefit from MD. But again, because of how big of a cash out that level 2 is, not necessarily the biggest issue, I suppose. But still, I hate it when they mess with masteries. And again, just MD's potency is just randomly half there. And yeah, this cash out on the level 2, it looks great. It does, decent chunk of damage. But the fact that you need to re-ramp completely in general matchups, unless there will be a lot of buffs involved, definitely means that it's something you don't necessarily want to be doing too often. Like here, it works fine because there's quite a lot of buffs to stagger. But overall, just about every fight seemed to drastically increase in the length that I need to spend, finishing last bit of HP after you do full rotation. And then obviously I did bring her against, the most pressing Cosmic Defender. So let's go up against Dark Phoenix. And this is a maxed out rank 5-star, because that is how I generally test out the new champions. I maxed out a 5-star version of them and go up against my 7-star rank 3s and rank 4s. And long story short, she's not going to counter Phoenix, like, at all. She has, like, nothing for Phoenix. She doesn't deal with no flames. She doesn't stop Dark Phoenix's buffs either, because whenever you stagger them, she gets passives instead. And there's, like, literally nothing helping you in this matchup. You do not have multi-hit combos or poison to get rid of that no flame. You can't stop the immortality. So you're dead, basically. It's happy days we're living in, by the way. Happy days. But yeah, so I'm just gonna die here because why not? Next up, Serpent. And honestly, well, obviously she can do Serpent, but she's one of the worst counters to Serpent, in my opinion. And that kind of goes again to the whole rotation piece. And effectively, in between building up and keeping your shocks, and in between making sure that Serpent doesn't get his power gain buffs, which is not the easiest thing always, because if Serpent doesn't throw a special attack immediately, your staggers will expire during his special attack, and then, like, after level 2, he's gonna get that power gain anyways. And it's not an easy fight to manage, is what I'm trying to say in the first place. It generally isn't. And additionally, I must say that you can't stop the immortality from Serpent. You can dex the level 2, which is kind of cool, because you can keep staggering it through focus. But you can't stop the immortality, and you can't stop the regen associated with immortality. So that's also kind of an annoying problem, because now that I do trigger immortality, not only I do have to survive the influx of his, power, but also I will need to redo and redeal all that extra damage that he has gained from immortality, thus extending the fight. And again, although the fight is doable, it's definitely not ideal. It's like 1 minute 23 there. I think 1 minute 15 was like faster that I did this fight. And just as a sample of comparison here, I included this werewolf fight, because we're all gonna agree that werewolf is not the best counter to Serpent. Werewolf can do the fight, but he doesn't deal with the power gain. He doesn't stop the immortality, so on and so forth. And Werewolf does it faster and safer. Like, in order to get that fight done, I needed to try and record it against Serpent like 8-9 times. And this is like the first fight I did with Werewolf against Serpent. And I did it faster and with more health remaining, basically. And Werewolf isn't a fast Serpent counter. Werewolf is an okay Serpent counter that's, a bit slower than most. And therefore, by extension, Serpent is, yeah, sure, she can do the match, but she isn't a tap champion that, I would include in my deck as a Serpent counter specifically, because she's one of the weaker Serpent counters in this specific matchup for sure. And again, Werewolf doesn't have to deal with that extra health pool because Despair exists, and it's just nicer and it's 20 seconds faster. And then against Thanos. And I tried out a couple of fights, and somewhere in the middle of the first fight here, I realized that I might like a different playstyle for Thor Jane Foster better. Which is what I'm going to try and showcase here. Somewhere in this fight, I realized that I really don't even want to throw special attacks with her, because if I activate my level 2, I lose my damage, because you do need the passive shocks. And level 1 also kind of seems like a waste, especially if you're already ramped up. So only really nice special is like level 3, because you do get that power gain, and you do have more damage after it as well with your crit rate and everything. So I was like, level 3 probably works the best. And here, once you're max ramped up, or decently well ramped up, I would say, you hit hard. Your heavies hit hard. And I was like, this feels better. This feels faster. And it is. And it is also easier to play. At the same time, it is also the type of rotation that I don't think will allow her to be kind of like reliably used champion. I don't think not enough of her kit works. But the best result I got from her was like, yeah, not going for the level 2 big damage, like not cashing out there. This matchup is not going to be as fast as it should have been in like these type of fights. I think if there are no buffs involved, you do want to throw that level 1 in the beginning and then just throw your level 3s basically. So I don't do that here, and I'm not going to be able to keep my shocks on too well, and I'm going to ramp up slower than I would. But we can see in the next fights that this plan basically works better. Because you have very solid, very decent base hit damage with, you know, almost a guaranteed crit on that heavy attack, which is a significant chunk of damage. But at the same time, it's not I don't think it feels like too exciting in today's day and age as a source of damage. But it's still better than it was. It still feels better than it did before. Because again, once you do get to those 15 shocks, it is like 30 plus K heavy attacks that just about always crit from Thor Jane Foster. They're easy to throw, obviously. And yeah, at this point, like when you see the fight is basically going to be over with that level 2, sure, you can cash out. I should have level 2'd before. And I suppose this is the way she's meant to be played. I just don't necessarily think it's great. Let's go to see. I think CMM fight is quite nice. There we go. And yeah, again, genuinely, I liked that buff more than I do now. More after just watching the highlights, basically. So I think this is going to be basically the best thing you can do with her. Get to your level 1, activate that level 1, and then go for your level 3s until you're ready to finish out the fight. And then you can drop level 2 if you really wanna. But you'll be fine, basically. So it's like 33k heavies here, which is solid amount of damage. And they always crit, basically. And there we go. This works better. It feels better. I'm kind of still let down on the buff. That's nice yellow numbers, though. It is nice to see some big yellow numbers from a Mystic champion, I suppose. But again, it just kind of feels like half her kit is going unused most of the time. And then I took a look at like which defenders do I want to record her fighting against. And I realized that since she's not like the greatest serpent counter, since she can't do Dark Phoenix, you absolutely, well, I don't think you particularly want to do Onslaught because you will be critting a lot, so that's going to be a lot of neuro shocks, and if you're going to shock him, that's going to be bad for you as well. But again, even if you don't end up shocking the Onslaught, it's not going to be like particularly great matchup in my opinion. Photon, you definitely don't want to be doing. I doubt High Evolutionary is going to be a great time. Definitely not Spider-Woman. I'd say not Yelena either. Not too well anyways. Definitely not Betsy. And Dust Shock Immune as well. I suppose you can kind of go and crit against her. So Nick Fury, she does well. I tested it. She's quite a good Nick Fury fight. We can check that out. But overall, what's the best way to put it? I think before buff, she was capable of doing just about the same fight she's capable of doing now. Really. I'm not entirely sure that this buff made her better than she was. Because I have been sent some, very good gameplay from Thor Jane Foster, and with those heavy attacks, she previously already did like a very, very, very solid amount of damage. And I'm generally not sure if she's better than she was before. As stupid as it sounds. I don't think she does any more matchups than she used to. And yeah. I don't know. So far, I'm sure that Kabam can make a meta where she will shine. But Nick Fury went down fast. That is fast. 1 minute and 4 seconds for this Nick Fury fight. It is fast. So there we go. Let me know what you guys think. But Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we have all